Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 59 of the Town Social. Oh, the sun was shining, the birds were singing, and so the 3,000 Town fans went down to the Tough Sheet Stadium to watch Huddersfield Town v Bolton. And what was billed as a tough game on paper against a side by many of the experts fancied as being one of the teams that would be right up there at the top. Town coming in off the back of 3 straight defeats. It looked on paper like a really tough fixture. Started a bit 50-50, and it looked like it was going to be one of those games as Tom Lees missed a really good chance with a header, only for Josh Koroma to be denied what I thought was a pretty stonewall penalty. But we needn't have worried. A double from Josh Koroma, and I mean, our mate Ian Kilroy, I think, had to unstick his boxers after his 2 favourite players scored. Ben Wild silencing the critics with a great shot from the edge of the box into the bottom corner. Even Gaz had to crack a smile as we made it 4 with some really good high press from Town and some, let's be honest, pretty atrocious back passing from Bolton. When the home side joins in with the away fans singing, "You're getting sacked in the morning," you know it's going to be all day. One of the Bolton fans said it's the worst performance he's ever seen from his side ever in his life. Tough sheet. Really deserved 4-0 victory for Town and an early birthday present for King Kevo. Happy birthday, Kevin Nagel. Many happy returns, mate. If you're not listening to the Town Social on your birthday, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Joining us this evening is, as ever, my distinguished guest, Gaz K and Tristan Batley-Carl. Gentlemen, welcome. Everybody, thank you very much for listening. Please get your comments and your questions in. We'll answer them as we go through. I believe we're having some issues with Twitter again, which is really frustrating. But for all those listening on YouTube, get your comments in, guys. And if you ever want to be on the show, get messaging us, and we'd love to have you on. That's what we're all about, the Town Social. We want as many Town fans on as possible. But yeah, get your comments in, guys. Let's join in the celebrations after such a thumping victory. So, guys, let's have your just general overview of the game, and then we'll get into it in a little bit more detail. Gaz, how do you see it, mate?
I mean, I watched it on iFollow with it's not called iFollow now, is it? But I'll call it iFollow for the next 20 years because I can't remember anything else. Oggy desperately trying not to slip a faux pas when saying Tough Sheet Stadium was half amusing, and it started really scrappy. I thought the game was it wasn't much of a spectacle for the first 15-20 minutes. It looked like a League One game with 2 average League One teams, but it was noticeable that Town's press was much higher. The midfield 3 of Wiles, Hogg and Evans, I don't think there was a Town fan on the planet selected that midfield 3, even our esteemed colleague Mr. Kilroy reckoned that Hodge would be in for Wiles, but you have to take that off to Duff. We obviously saw enough in training to believe that was going to work in this particular game, and so it came to pass. I thought Town grew into the game, and I think once we scored the first goal, really it was game over. Bolton looked done even after that first goal, didn't they? And then they just went absolutely. I mean, they just pressed the self-destruct, did Bolton, and I thought they reminded me of us last year in the Championship under Moore and then Brighton Writer, really, that we just couldn't seem to help ourselves. No matter what we did, we just made it worse, didn't we? And I think they were in the same boat. I mean, there was a real notice. There's noticeable, even on the TV, noticeable feedback from their crowd as towards their performance. And of course, then when the third goal went in, it was empty. Allegedly, there was 23,000 there, but it didn't look like that at the start, and it certainly didn't look like it at the end, did it? So it was a fabulous win. I think the as I said on our social chat the other day, I think the only thing more bipolar than most Town fans is that midfield 3. Really, I think when they turn up, how good do they look? The challenge is how does Duff get that kind of performance out of them 3 on a regular basis, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree, guys. I think there was a lot of neither side wanted to commit anything to begin with. There was a lot of finding the feet early doors, and I think both sides really, kind of were just trying to suss each other out a little bit. There was a lot of passing in the game, and I think Town kind of knocked the ball around at the back quite often early doors, and as you say, it wasn't making for much of a great spectacle. But I did think the game, when it started to pick up, Town seemed to move the ball that bit quicker, and something that hasn't been overly noticeable recently until yesterday was that we actually moved the ball through the midfield a lot quicker. I thought Hogg seemed to, whenever he could, give a first time pass or at least take a touch and pass. And all for the benefit of Town, to be quite honest with you, because we looked a lot better. Wiles and Evans seemed to start receiving the ball kind of in more space and in kind of better positions, where in recent weeks, that has been the point where it stopped. But again, I was a little nervous with the kind of Koroma Marshall front line, because I thought, to be quite honest with you, it'd be quite lightweight, and I'll be honest, I probably couldn't be further from the truth. I think those two actually, they seem to lead the line better than kind of any of the bigger lads that are within the club. And there's a lot of energy there. There's quite a bit of kind of fight, and to be honest with you, they set the tone, and I thought they set the tone quite early doors. There was a lot of possession from Bolton in their back three. A little bit like Town, but we, as you say, Gaz, we pressed them a lot higher, and you could see that they seemed to panic a lot more than we did on the ball, which is a first, to be quite honest with you. But no, it was good. It was good, and we grew into the game, and you could see the confidence kind of came out in them, and then we, it was just one of them games then where we just seemed to, anything we seemed to hit seemed to go well, and and quite the opposite for Bolton.
Right, guys, let's delve into it then. The first talking point for me is the first penalty shout. Koroma goes into the box and the defender kind of goes in from the back, and to me, catches him. It's a penalty to me. And we've had a few of these in the past, guys, where they seem to go for the opposition and just not for us. And when you see things like that, you just think, oh no, it's going to happen again, isn't it? It's just not going to be our day again. But I'm interested to see how you guys saw it, because for me, that's a Stonewall penalty.
Well, I thought so. I mean, but I actually thought the referee was really good on Saturday. I thought we hardly noticed him, which is usually a good sign. And he let a few of those stupid pushes that they give us free kicks when somebody hardly touches anybody. He let a fair few of those go, and some of them were quite robust as well, which was good to see. And I think once the players realised he wasn't giving them, they just got on with it. But I mean, the penalty thing was a weird one, because Leeds had missed a really good header not that long before, not massively dissimilar to the one he had at Rotherham. So he misses that. Then we do get the penalty, and you just start to think this has got 0-0 written all over this game. And I thought it was a pen. And the weirdest thing was he actually gave a foul the other way, which was the bit I couldn't get my head around. If he's just going to say no pen, play on, I could sort of understand it. But weirdly, he gave a foul the other way.
Yeah, completely with you, fellas. Completely with you. I thought actually Koroma was really clever in how he positioned himself, and I think it probably was a penalty won, as opposed to given kind of, if you get what I mean. I think Koroma, as I say, like positioned himself so that he won the penalty, knowing that the lad would take him down. But yeah, I completely agree. You're just at that point where you're thinking, here we go again. And even even I think on commentary as well, they reference that colleagues from Bolton or from BBC radio station over there were going on about how clear a pen it was, that we hadn't got it and this kind of thing. And I'm just thinking, literally we're going to get done again.
it was clearer than the penny he actually gave in the end, I thought. But Koroma's pace had been causing them problems already. They were really nervous, weren't they, about Koroma? They seemed to be happy to back off. And he was almost occupying the two of their back three on his own, was Koroma. They were that scared of him, which is probably why the midfield were getting a bit of space down the side channels. But yeah, I mean, it was a shoe-in, wasn't it? But in fairness to the ref, he made up for it later, so we'll let him off, I guess.
I agree, guys. I thought the refereeing team, if you like, were actually really good. It's always a good sign when you don't mention them, when you don't notice them. And I thought for once, actually, they were really good. And it didn't matter in the end. You know, let's go on to the first goal, because Miller plays in Marshall down the left flank. And I mean, I don't even think it looks. He just plays it early into the box. And Koroma's made a really good run in between the defenders and another header for Josh. It never really strikes me as a striker that's going to score loads of headers. I don't know why, but it just doesn't sort of come across as that type of player. But it shows what happens when you get in the right place, right time, and great bit of movement and a brilliant header just before the half time as well. Really important time to score, wasn't it?
It was a good ball though, wasn't it? The cross was
brilliant.
A bit like the one that Sorensen put in for him against. Was that Shrewsbury? Oh, Josh doesn't jump. He just walks onto the ball, but his movement was great because he got himself between the two centre halves. The front one left it. I think he thought the keeper was going to get it, but Koroma nipped him between the two and headed it inside netting, and it was a lovely bit of play because that came from winning the ball back. You know, a few seconds earlier, we'd won the ball back again just over the halfway line. 2 passes and Miller was in down the side, and it was a lovely cross. Not Miller, Marshall. Sorry, it was a lovely cross.
Yeah, I think they that's something I noticed yesterday. The kind of the trio of Miller, Wiles, and Marshall. They seem to link really well down that wing. And when we play our best football, I think those three are typically kind of, or certainly yesterday, those three were linking up really well. I think probably just to mention Koroma as well, as you alluded to before, Gaz, I think there was a lot of unselfish running yesterday by Koroma, and I will completely agree. I think he literally set their back three on the back foot and pushed them back on his own, and I think that probably, as well as you kind of alluded to, it created some space, but also created some space in the box. You know, because then when he kind of runs onto that header, he literally is stood on his own. You know, and I think for Koroma as well, I can't think who we were against. It was someone earlier on in the season, and or it might have been back end of last season. He struggles with the kind of where he has to think about it. You know, he's very much an instinct kind of finisher, isn't he? You know, and where he's 1-on-1 and he's got time to think about it. I think he thinks about 20 different things before he actually tries to do one thing. So it was an instinctive finish, and you know, it was a great run and capped a really good move.
And it capped a good spell and all. I thought that last 15 minutes of the first half, we'd really got a grip of the game. You know, I was really impressed with, is it Matete, the lad they've got on Sunderland, on loan from Sunderland? You know, they were playing 3-4-3, so we got 3 against their 2 in the middle. And normally, even when we play 3 against 2, Town never seems to be able to dominate the middle, even when we've got an extra man. But we seem to manage to do it, and it come from a really good spell of possession, and then a great tackle, and it came at a good time, didn't it? Was it about 40 minutes ago, 42 minutes something? So it came at a really good time, just an half time, and I think, as I say, once we scored the goal, I think, to be honest, it was more or less game over. And the Bolton fans, you could tell that by their reaction at half time, I think they knew the same as us, didn't they? That it was game over.
They were not happy, were they? All through the game, you could tell that's a fan base that's pissed off. And I mean, to be fair, rightly so with the start they've made. But I mean, they do have on paper some decent players. And I thought, start the second half, there were maybe a 5-minute spell where they come out, test us a little bit without really fully testing us. You know, Nichols didn't have any real saves to make of note, but we weathered the storm, and And then we get, I think we're all in disbelief when we're finally actually awarded a penalty. Again, the defender comes into the back of Koroma, and it's an easy decision for the ref. That is, and I think after he's not giving the first penalty, he's definitely giving that one, isn't he? And Josh Koroma steps up, really calmly taken, waits for the keeper to dive, and just slots it in the other side. Absolutely brilliant penalty, guys. And at 2-0, I mean, it's pretty much game over. Well, I mean, it's Huddersfield Town, it's never game over, but in this context, it certainly was, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think the keeper their keeper, I thought, actually played quite well. There was a chance not long after half time where Headley put a ball in right into the centre of the goals, and Evans, I mean, it was a brilliant, absolutely soared above their defender. And I mean, I can't believe perhaps only the goalkeeper was the only man who thought it wasn't a goal. It was an amazing save. And then when it comes to the penalty, I mean, I complain about Nichols never saving penalties, but I mean, he might as well have written Koroma a letter which way he was going. He was already laid down before Koroma kicked the ball. I've never seen a keeper go down so early. So he made it really easy for him. But it was definitely a penalty, and that again came from winning the ball back high up the field. 2 passes. Koroma was played in behind, and he used his pace. He just got across the front of the defender and made the defender run into him. And unfortunately for us, the ref gave it. But it was a really cool pen, really. And as you say, I think you're right, Nick. Once that was in, the writing was on the wall there.
I think you're being really harsh, Gaz.
Do you think?
I think it was a superb penalty.
It was a good penalty because he sat the keeper. The keeper went, didn't he? And he took his time.
He went very early. Very early. I mean, literally, you could see Koroma looking at him, and I think probably I was thinking, to be honest with you, I was thinking, why is Koroma taking it? You know, I thought they'd got Evans in the club for pretty much every set piece going, you know, type thing, and so I'm thinking, you know, why ain't Evans taking it? And then, you know, I think Koroma were like a early Christmas present, wasn't it? You know, he literally just sat down and Koroma shot in the opposite side. But yeah, I think just going back in the first half, Nick, there was probably a couple of spells where, and it's probably worth mentioning because I don't think it happened again in the second half, if I'm honest with you. But we did get caught out again by that kind of simple ball over the top, and bizarrely we seem maybe happy is the wrong word, but we seem to allow Helik 1-on-1 with strikers, and I thought that Dion Charles, you know, had quite a bit of pace and actually, you know, had the ability to cause us some trouble. And at one point, I thought he got through, and Helik made an absolutely superb challenge. Because if he'd have got it any, you know, if he'd have got any slight anywhere slight beyond him, you know, I think he'd have been off. But then there was another point, and I just wanted to mention this because it was almost a carbon copy of Rotherham. In the first half, the lad Connolly broke in from the kind of right channel or our left back position, chopped inside to the edge of the area and killed a shot in kind of. And I think it was the only save that Nichols made. I think that's something we just need to sharpen up on. And I don't want to blame it on Hogg because I don't know that it was Hoggy, but I know it was Hoggy at Rotherham, and it's too easy. You know, it's probably something. Those two things, ball over the top and players cutting in from that channel, are just two areas that, you know, I think we've just got to sharpen up on.
It's a problem. Teams are going to work on that. Out there, they've obviously targeted the fact that we're weak down those flanks, and it's an amazing challenge for Melik. Mark Harrison says game changer, and I think it was a bit of a game changer because, as you said, Tristan, if he doesn't time that right, he's either off or he's through and potentially scores, and it's a different game. And games hinge on moments like that, don't they? It's a bit of a problem in the way that we play. I like the fact that we've now got an identity and a style of playing. The problem with having a style is everyone knows that that's your style. So it's up to us to work on that, to counter it, to have a plan B and a plan C if it don't work. I think you could see that we had worked on some things over the 2-week break, though. We didn't look as shaky. There wasn't as many gaps. And I just think overall the team looked sharper. Players like Hogge seem to have a bit of an extra yard of pace getting stuck in there. Whereas at Rotherham, it was just so laboured and slow. We just looked to have that bit of an extra gear yesterday. And I think you're right. There were 1 or 2 moments, Tristan. I think there's always going to be 1 or 2 moments. It's just how we manage it. And I thought once we've got to grips with it, as you say, in that second half, it didn't happen again. And that's a sign of a decent side that reacts and shuts it out. And I think we did that. Just going back to... Go on, Gaz.
No, I'm just going to say about that. I think, I don't think it's a coincidence that the 2 best performances have come against 2 teams who like to play out from the back. Because the way we set up, we're set up to play with a high press, and we're set up to, to try and play when we get the transition, get it forward in 1 or 2 touches and try and get a shot off. So, Peterborough and Bolton wanted to play out in terms of how they play out from the back, in terms of how they take the game, and we've now got to find a way, I guess, as we struggle against Stevenage and Rotherham, where they go very direct. Much more direct than that, and we struggled with that, So I guess that's the thing. We've got to try and find a way to make sure that we're just as effective when a team tries to bypass that midfield 5 of ours and stick it straight on the top of the other. Because that was the only time they got any joy, really. Bolton was when they whacked it long and they brought Baye on, didn't they? Is it Baye or Baye or whatever his name is? Was it Barnsley? He was somewhere, wasn't he? Was it Barnsley?
Yeah, I think so.
And he was big and strong and direct, and that's the problem. Teams are going to pick it down the side, and that chance you talk about the first half, Trish, that came from just a ball down the side of the centre half. Miller got himself in a tiz, and the bloke managed to run away with the ball. And if it had been a better strike, it might have caused some problems. But I think the tackle was a great tackle. But what I would say was it came from Ellick's error in the first place. Ellick should have dealt with the ball. He didn't deal with it cleanly, and the bloke's away. So, just as you said, Nick, we've just got to make sure we stay on top of these instances. Because if he'd have raced through and scored, suddenly it's a different game from just 1 ball. So, that still remains our weakness, doesn't it? But we'll have to see how we cope against another team go direct, and the next team we play, Northampton, are exactly one of those. So I guess we'll see whether it works against them or not.
We'll see, guys. But 3 clean sheets out of 5 in the league, we'd be doing something right. It's not that bad, is it? We only conceded 3 goals so far, and 2 of them have been last minuters and a horrific penalty decision. So it's not all bad. It's not bad. I mean, they're a big physical side, Bolton. I mean, the defenders look like a couple of extras from BFG, like massive. And we've got little Callum Marshall and Koroma expected to go. But it's been much maligned, hasn't it? Our inability to bring this 20-odd goal a season striker in the transfer window. But, guys, looking at Josh Koroma yesterday, have we had the answer all along? Have we had the guy in the building all along in Koroma? I mean, the bloke's, to me, has been one of our best players so far this season. He's quick, he's strong, he's created goals, he's scored goals. Could he be that 20-odd goal a season striker that we need? He certainly caused problems for Bolton yesterday, didn't he?
So is it, well, the question for you then, is he a striker that was turned into a winger, or is he a winger that's been turned into a striker? Which was he first?
For me, he's like a left winger / forward that likes to cut in. But I don't know. I don't mind him down the middle. I think he's been brilliant this season in that role. He was very flaky, wasn't he, on that left side? He had games where he was unplayable, and there were times under Carlos where he was scoring for fun. But then he got found out and he kind of went off the boil a bit. But certainly in this league, Michael Duff obviously sees him as a striker. Playing down the middle to me, it's been brilliant. So I would say he's a striker now, winger turned striker for me.
There's something quite bizarre about him, that he has this ability to win headers, and put himself about a bit. He doesn't look the biggest lad in the world, but he seems to have, that ability to kind of get himself in a position where he just puts the defender off enough, and he seems to win headers and hold the ball up pretty well. So yeah, I don't know. Good question, guys. I think he's probably a winger turned into a striker, to be honest with you. But yeah, Yeah, I'm not sure.
What do you think, guys? After asking us,
I think he's at the minute I think he's got the capacity to play both. I think he'd struggle as a 9 in the Championship. I think this is a different league, and his pace gives him something in the Championship. The centre halves are that yard quicker out there. It's not about the physicality. I think at times it's about his pace. That's what works for him. But he's very cute. Everybody knows he's got a right foot, and he wants to get the ball on his right foot every time. But how many times have you seen defenders struggle to stop him from getting on his right foot? He's really good at it, But I think what he is, he's absolutely bursting with confidence. And I think, as you saw when Warnock was here in the latter half of season before last, Koroma shone under Warnock because he polished him. He made him feel important, made him feel quality, and he scored a few goals. And I think that's the same. He definitely is a confidence player, and he's full of it. There's no reason why he can't score 20 goals this season. No reason at all.
I thought it was quite interesting that we started with Koroma and Marshall, who I would say, they're not the big number 9, as you might, and then we threw Ladapo and Bojan on together. And actually I thought, the pair of both pairings, are quite similar to one another, and actually could have benefited from being the opposite way around, if you know what I mean, with paired up with one of the others. But actually it worked quite well.
As Simon here has pointed out, let me bring this back up again. Koroma's been away a lot, hasn't he? He's had a lot of flights with his international duties, and I think I read somewhere that he paid extra to upgrade, so we're in better shape or something to come back for this game, which, it shows his commitment to the cause. And he could have easily turned the way that Thomas did and down tools, but he seems to have gone the other way. He's knuckled down, he's worked hard, he's got a good friendship with Jonathan Ogg by all accounts, so I'm sure he's bringing him on leaps and bounds and in his ear telling him what he should and shouldn't be doing. And the lad's been, to me, he's been a revelation this season. I think he's been brilliant.
Yeah,
and then
he'd been in Sierra Leone, and then he went to Zambia. So I mean, this is Central Africa as well. This isn't 3 or 4 hours. It's an 8-10 hour flight, and it's really difficult place to get to and from. So as you say, he didn't look like a bloke that had done that, did he?
No, he looked really fresh, and really good performance. And then the third goal, guys, I mean, it's a bit bobbling around in the box, to-in and throw-in, but then eventually it finds its way to Wiles, and he's not been without his critics, Ben Wiles, this season. He started really well, I thought. The Peterborough game, I thought, he looked absolutely brilliant, and then went a bit off the boil. But what he is good at is finding the back of the net with shots on the edge of the box because of the power he puts behind. And I think, again, this shot maybe took a tiny deflection its way through, but it's the power that beats the keeper, and it's a brilliant finish, and that completely puts the game to bed, and we can all sit back and relax from that point on. But I was really pleased for him, because it's not easy when, the blow, it wasn't, he had a really difficult season last season. He came back, he picked up, and then again fans are starting at him again, and it's only a small sample size. We're only 5 games into the league season, and I was just pleased that he got that goal. Maybe it'll silence one or two of them, and he can kick on. Now he's got to do it the next game, but really, really pleased for him, and a good goal.
And it come from a good period of the game, really. After he scored the penalty, we sort of dropped off a bit, and we just took a bit of a breather in the game, and Bolton had the ball, but they created they did nothing. And then for the corner that led to the goal, it was a really great breakaway, really. Marshall played Koroma in. Koroma went for a shot, broke to Evans. Evans had a shot, and then it rebounded for a corner. Then the corner was, and I think that was 3rd or 4th corner that Headley had taken, and they were all really good corners, in swingers, right on top of the keeper. It bobbled about. Koroma had a shot up in the air. Tom Lees actually had a really good. It was a brilliant little ball from Tom Lees, by the way, because most centre halves would have just slashed at that, wouldn't they? Yeah. But he just rolled it to Wiles, who, as you say, Nick, I think the power beat the keeper. Keeper will probably be disappointed because he got a good hand to it. but I think the power beat it, and it was because they're the kind of goals, them goal mouth scrambles, a bit like penalties. We just don't score them normally, do we? We just never seem to be able to pull the trigger at the right point. So it was a really good third goal, and like you, I was pleased for Wiles, because me included, he'd had a little bit of stick over the last 3 or 4 games, hadn't he? But he's got to take it on and keep doing it. But yeah, a great finish.
Yeah, it was great composure by Tom Lees, because as you say, we're forever kind of frustrated by people just hacking at the ball in the box, but he just teed him up perfectly. I think the thing for me with Wiles that I touched on earlier on, I think he needs to receive the ball early. He wants the ball when he kind of is in space, and he also, I think, needs that movement around him. He's not he's not going to suddenly beat a man. He's not going to he ain't got a kind of. I certainly haven't seen him with a burst of pace to go past a player. So he's ever reliant on those kind of in front of him, and I think that's the important part to it as well. That it's lads in front of him, because it's easy to play backwards, but he wants to play forwards, but there's not always that movement there. And I thought yesterday he kind of just hovered to that left side, and Miller is. He went off at half time, didn't he? But I hope he's not kind of got some kind of serious injury, because he's a real breath of fresh air. We really are this season or more two-dimensional with Miller and Sorensen going down both wings. But I think it just creates that bit of space as well for Wiles, and I think to be honest with you, he's probably another that's a little bit like Koroma, in the sense of he does need that bit of confidence, and he probably, I think Koroma, really thrives on just that bit of just one goal. I think Wiles, if he can get 2 or 3 goals, then you'll really see that confidence build back up. Someone mentioned about him possibly reaching his level. I think he's got a lot of ability, and I think with cleverer players ahead of him and clever movement, I think he could, there is a player in there, to be honest with you.
Lee Cartwright's just spoke about a potential hamstring problem, and that was one of my reservations about Miller. I agree, Tristan, he's been great, but you speak to any of the Plymouth fans, will say he's great when he played, but he was injured more than he played, and that's just my concern with him. Headley, I mean, he did brilliant against Morecambe, and he was utterly horrific in the in the Walsall game. So I honestly don't know what Headley we will get, but we've got to give these players a chance and bring them on. It's the right time for him, and look, if Miller is out, he's got to step up and show what he's made of, hasn't he? Let's talk about the last goal, guys, because it's a brilliant press from Town. Again, it's a 4-man press in 2 phases, and I think for reasons only the keeper knows, he passed it back to the defender not once but twice, and then passes it straight to Evans, who says thank you very much and slots it in. It's horrific from Bolton. The keeper should just belt it out. But what I was really encouraged with at 3-0 up, we're still putting that press on, and if you press like that against a team that does like to play out from the back, you're always going to get a chance.
Duff mentioned it in his post-match press conference, didn't he, saying how delighted he was with that, because he'd obviously told the guys, look, they'll continue, no matter what the score is, no matter what happens in the game, they'll keep on trying to play out from the back. So to be, 80th minute, I think, to still be pressing around the box and be that keen is a really good sign. It's a bit of a good sign of fitness, because I think we've been concerned in 1 or 2 of the games where we'd seem to run out of steam, but actually we looked a lot fitter on Saturday. It's funny how, though, when you're 3-0 up, running about, it doesn't feel as much hard work, does it, as when you're losing? But yeah, it was just absolutely suicidal. I mean, if that was your goalkeeper, you'd be absolutely pulling your hair out, wouldn't you? I mean, yeah, well, and Matt Glennon said not often I agree with Matt Glennon, but he said the same on the commentary. Really, is you can blame the manager all you want, but like you said, when he got it back the second time, you just put your foot through it. The first time, all right, but the second time, Town had closed in. It was madness, and he did the same as he did for the penalty. Then just suddenly dived to his left, to his left, and I was thanks very much. I'll just roll it in over here. Then if you're going that way, mate. And he just topped off a really, really excellent performance. I mean, it had, as an away performance, it had probably everything. If you're a manager, if you're Michael Duff, it probably had everything you were looking for, really, in that, you earned the right to play. You found up, you scored a goal through a bit of quality. You kept the pressure up, and then you've been ruthless when you've had your opportunity to take it. You've been ruthless. So it was a fitting fourth goal in a weird way. Probably the easiest one of the four to score, but it was good to see.
Yeah, I noticed in the first half when they were pressing, I think it was Marshall, was looking round and shouting and trying to conduct the press almost. So it does seem to be quite as much as they are obviously drilling the press into them. It's also coordinated. As I said before, Koroma. There's a lot of running there from the front. There's a lot of willingness to run from the front, but it's not headless chicken like it has been. And I think a few pods ago we mentioned about that first game a couple of seasons ago against Burnley, where we were set to, we were looking like we were going to press and we were going to be this really kind of high pressing team, and Burnley just played through us. We seem to be a lot more coordinated, and it's good to see, and it's good to see that kind of even some of someone like Marshall as a younger player in the team is obviously a big part of that. Obviously, I realise he went on when we scored the goal, but that's where it starts from. It starts at at the top end of the game, and yeah, it's good to see that we're still doing it in kind of the 85th or whatever minute it was, at the end.
Pleasing for Evans as well, guys, because again, he's like Wiles, started really well, then went off the boil, had his fair share of critics, say he's been absent. I didn't like his performance at Rotherham. I didn't see what he offered. But again, could be a bit of a confidence player, gets a goal, could be really important for him. And, are we seeing this midfield three, Ogge, Evans, Wiles, gelling a little bit? Are we starting to see that coming together after yesterday? Or is it just me getting too excited now we've won a game? Do we stick with it and see how it goes? I mean, to me, they were much improved.
Yeah, they were. They played really well. That midfield three. I think and I do just wonder, they've played a lot of minutes. There's obviously a big role for them in kind of the coordination of the pressing and obviously as a three in there. And I just wonder whether they just became a bit jaded, and that Rotherham game, although it was very direct and a lot of ball went over the top of them, it was physical, and there was some lads, I can't think of the lad in midfield for Rotherham, is an athlete, he's physical, but he's also got an engine on him, and I do just wonder whether, I mean, Wiles ended up front on his own, didn't he, in that Rotherham game at the end? So I do just wonder whether they've benefited from, the kind of 10 days or whatever it's been rest, after a pretty kind of full-on start to the season.
Yeah, and Wiles didn't play that much last year either, did he? So it's going to take a while, but they will be the three, Nick, because if Duff didn't change it after the Rotherham game, he ain't changing it unless he's forced. I don't think. I think that's his. That team that played on Saturday, maybe Marshall for somebody else, I would reckon is his first choice 11. I don't think it's far off, is it? So I think they'll be the three. And when you look at the stats from Saturday, we only had 48% possession. So it felt like we had a lot more, by the way. It did feel like we had the vast majority of the possession, but we didn't. But when you look at the chances, we had 16 shots to Bolton's 5. So, we might have had less of the ball, but as you said, Nick, we were getting the ball forward. When they're getting the ball, it's being moved much quicker, and that helps when people like Wiles and Evans have got somebody to hit. If they're just looking at players stood behind opposition players, then they're always going to look rubbish, aren't they? So I think Koroma's maybe that's the thing. Just think about what you said, about them being small. Maybe their mobility. That's why he's playing. And Marshall and Koroma's mobility means the midfield three have got people to hit rather than trying to just hit a striker who's 6'5" and bounce it off his head, perhaps.
The passing was certainly a lot better. It infuriates me when we can't complete a pass over 5 yards. But you're right, and particularly against sides like your Boltons, who are going to pass it about and are under pressure to come forward and not sit deep, there are going to be gaps for sides like us that play like us. And the thing is, as well, guys, there's competition now, isn't there? You've got Ayapenda, who's not done himself any harm with his performances. You've got Hodge, who's come in. Herbie Kane shouldn't be too far from coming back. Kasumu shouldn't be too far from coming back. So you've got options there. And when you've got that competition, it just gives you that bit of a kick up the backside. Look, we're going to have to perform here. Otherwise, we might not get in the team next week. And we haven't really had that kind of competition, have we, until now? So, maybe that's a little bit of a factor as well. Do you think that because, I think Kasumu, decent player at this level, Hodge has done all right since he's been on, and I think Ayapenda's due a start soon. So it can only be a good thing, can't it, to have those options in midfield?
Yeah, well, when you put it like that, when you forget Kane and Kasuma are out injured, don't you? I mean, I like everything I've seen of Ayapenda. I'm a fan. He looks like the kid looks like he could have everything, and I was surprised he didn't start. I unlike Killer, who picked Hodge instead of Wiles, I picked Ayapenda instead of Evans. I thought Ayapenda would play. But I think it's nice to have, and it's the same with the strikers. I know we've got some out injured at the minute, but we brought 2 on. We had 2 strikers on the bench, Radulovic and Ladapo, and that was just nice to be able to take Koroma and Marshall off at 3 and 4-0 respectively and give them a break, wasn't it? What did you think to the Ladapo signing, by the way? Were you on the what's the point of this, or that's a brilliant signing crowd? Which side were you?
Go on, Tristan, you go first, mate. Why not?
I was sat on the fence.
Not like you.
No, I honestly, I can see both sides to it. I think there were a conversation with Killer around. Kind of, he'd made the point of, it felt a little bit like one of these kind of desperate impulse, bit under fan pressure kind of signings. But on the flip side of that, I would also say, and I know I keep saying this, but I don't think there are a load of number 9s out there, in kind of in the football world at this minute in time, taking it to the extreme. Who's going to replace Harry Kane for England? I don't think there's a real obvious choice, and that's at the absolute top level. So, I'm not sure. I think because of the way that football's evolving and the way that styles are evolving, I'm not sure that that kind of traditional number 9 role seems to be one that's that important anymore. That said, it is, when you see the top teams and when you see the teams that your Man City, again, taking it to the extreme, you've got a bloke that's banging in hat-tricks nearly every other week. It makes it a hell of a lot easier, doesn't it? So if he can get his scoring boots kind of back on, I appreciate last season he struggled with that. I don't know. I haven't looked enough to understand whether, I think 1 goal in 14 or 15 games. I don't know whether that was, bit part games, whether it was coming off the bench, whether it was starting games, whether I don't know. I did read something that suggested the period that he did play Ladapo at Charlton was the same period that Alfie May also stopped scoring. So if that was the case, and again, I'm not 100% certain on that, but if that was the case, then there might be something a little bit more to it than he just has kind of gone off the boil. So yeah, I'm a bit on the fence.
You can look at it two ways, Katie, depending on what side of bed you get out of in the morning. You can say he's a League One veteran, experienced, 31. He's got something like 66 goals at that level. So he's going to be a decent handful. Or you can look at it as an aging striker. We were desperate. We've had to get a body in, so we've gone for him. We've given him 2-year contract. And last season when he was at Charlton, they were terrible and they scored 1. So for me, I think, look, we were playing Ben Wiles up front against Rotherham. We needed somebody. For me, he's got that experience. He's got the physicality. He had something a bit different. We might not be one of those teams that's got a 30-goal-a-season striker, but we might be one of those teams that has 3 strikers who we rotate who score 10 each. And to me, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You don't want to be relying on just one striker to get your goals. And if we've got someone who's got a bit of nous experience, when he came on the other day, he did no wrong, held the ball up well. He needs to get his match sharpness back, but I don't think he's too far off it fitness-wise. And I think he will score the odd goal for us. And if he does that, and if he's someone who you can bring off the bench in a situation like Rotherham, where we need to try and get something or hold on to something just to put someone on to give a defender something to think about, I think all well and good. It's 2 years, but that'll only take him to 33. That's not too bad. And I think he'll be an asset. I think there was a bit of an overreaction on social media to it. I think it was quite a negative reaction, which always makes me laugh because everyone's clamouring for a striker and then they sign a striker and it explodes, doesn't it? Like just Kev's getting pelters.
I wanted a different one, yeah.
I didn't like Kev getting involved in it, to be honest. I thought he should have just left it alone. But for me, I don't think there's anything wrong with the signing. I think he'll be useful. Do I think he's going to set the world alight? No, but I do think he'll score the odd goal, and he's a good option to come off the bench because we will get more injuries. But
he knows what it takes, though, Nick. As you say, he scored goals in League One already. He's part of that team that went through the League One, and through the Championship into the Premier League. So he's been in and around a winning team and a winning mentality, which is never a bad thing. I think he's different to what we've got as well. His physical presence will be completely different to anyone we've got. I think, relatively speaking, I don't know what he gets paid, but relatively speaking, he's going to be cheapish. He's not going to be, he's not going to be a bargain. But I think, if he was still a free agent, then he's better with a contract than not. The 2-year thing, you've got Ward and I think Harrott up in the summer. Ward ain't going to get another contract no matter what happens, is he? So, that only leaves you with one veteran striker. And I think he filled the hole. At the minute, we needed some bodies. So I'm not complaining about it. I mean, the thing that made me roll my eyes was Mark Carr trying to claim we've been watching him all summer and just stop, mate. We all know the reality is we thought we had enough, and then we get 1 sent off, we get 2 injured, and we're short. Why not just be honest? I mean, it's just absolute bollocks, isn't it? Fucking honest. But I don't think it's a terrible sign. I'm with you, Nick. I think if he scores 6 or 8 goals this year, then he's been worth the money, and he's a decent striker to bring in. You're not relying on dragging somebody out of the under 21s or whatever we've got now.
It was a plan all along, guys. Come on, mate. The May signing and the Taylor, it was just a ruse, mate. It was just a ruse. We're always going to bring Freddie in.
Considering as you alluded to, Nick, considering that he was lacking he's lacking match sharpness, it does make you wonder if they were watching him all summer, why they didn't sign him at the start of this international break rather than just before the weekend.
It's a load of bollocks, mate. Of course it is.
Yeah.
Gaz is spot on, and I don't know why they make up this rubbish because we're not stupid. I know. I look it. We're not stupid. We know what's that. Do you know what I mean? But just be honest. Like all you need to come out and say is, look, we brought this guy in. We think he's going to be a great option. You know, that's it. That's all you need. You don't need to come out saying all that stuff because no one believes it, and it's not doing anybody any good. It's just stoking the flames for on social media. It's just standing up to be got at basically for no reason. So I don't think it's a bad sign, and I think he'll do all right. No more, no less. I think if we get promoted, I think he'll be one of those, come off the bench just for a bit of. He'll fill Danny Ward's shoes, won't he? When Danny Ward goes, and nice to see old Bojan make an appearance after so long as well. What do we think to Bojan, guys? Do we think that he's someone who could come and potentially be that maybe 10-goal a seasoner? Because when I saw him at Stoke, it was a great, well taken goal, and sometimes. There was some case in the Championship. I thought we've got a decent player here. His close control, his touches, he's bringing people into play. I thought was good, but I mean the bloke's been injured so much. He's only scored one goal. Is he going to be enough? Of an option, or is he someone that's simply here until January and get rid?
I think if they could get rid, Nick, they'd have got rid in summer. I think the problem we're going to have with him might be his wages, trying to offload him, but. It's in fairness, what he can share the physio's couch with Healy. They can take it in turns because I think that's probably how it's going to work, isn't it? He's not up to, or he hasn't shown any sign of being up to physically the English game. So I think he'll be in and out. I mean, there were obviously the rumours around the whole. He didn't go on the pre-season tour, and Duff didn't fancy him and all of that. So. Whether there's an element of truth in that, I don't know, but he chucked him on and he did all right. I mean, in fairness, we were 4-0 up against a team who'd given up. So, if you can't do all right in that scenario, you really are struggling, aren't you? But yeah,
don't you think, Gaz, though, that will be his role? I'm not sure he's not. I'm not sure he's going to be a starting striker, is he? And I'm also, I do wonder whether he's someone that might benefit from, if the likes of what happened at the weekend, where we've pushed the defenders back. He might benefit from that bit of space in between the midfield and the defence, and kind of as Nick alluded to, if he can get on a ball that's kind of within that space, he might cause some trouble, but I don't think he's not going to go and start a game and battle and occupy defenders, is he?
No, it'd be one if you were the club, you'd be trying to get out on a loan or a deal in Jan, as you say, try and get him some football. I mean, that's the other thing. It's not helping him or helping us, because he's going to be, if Healy's fit, he isn't in the match day squad, is he? He isn't. So, he's 5th choice. Is he 6th? Is he behind Harrott if Harrott's fit? Is he 6th choice striker? So, he's a long way down the pecking order, that's for sure.
Thing is, mate, it's up to him, innit? If he comes on against Northampton and bangs 2 goals in, he's going to be up the pecking order, isn't it? It's down to him. Everyone's got a chance, and I think the way Duff plays, he said before, he rotates the strikers because he has so much of them. It's very, very energy consuming. So, we're going to need at least 4 strikers. They're going to get game time between them. So he's going to have opportunities to come on. And like Tristan says, when teams are tiring and there's a bit more space, maybe, and he could be another confidence player. If he gets a goal, then he might get a few. He might take off. And I don't know whether it's just because I saw him crying after his Stoke goal. He obviously means something to him. And I really want to see him do well. But I mean, him and Healy, honestly,
really,
I know. But him and Healy, if you're an horse, the old curtain would be pulled around, wouldn't it? Do at the National, and what happened next, didn't you? But you just think, so maybe they're just unlucky, these guys. But you just want to see him play on a regular basis, get game time, get that sharpness up, and get some goals for us. Because, like you said, they aren't cheap either. They won't be on peanuts, will they? So. Let's hope that he kicks on, and like I said, go on, Tristan. Mate.
I do just wonder as well if he not only does he lack that kind of physicality. I'm not sure he's one that's going to do the pressing bit either. You know, when we saw him kind of for the bits of what we saw him last season, he seemed a bit laboured in how he ran, didn't he? And he there were probably 3 or 4 sprints, and then he were kind of blowing a bit. So I think he's one that, as you alluded to, Nick. I think he's one that they would throw on to try and get you a goal or to see out a game, as opposed to kind of go and win you a game as such, if you know what I mean.
Do you think it'd work better with like a Marshall, like all running, Aslin, and then him bit Ireland? Well, say Ireland-esque. I'm not comparing him to Ireland, but like Fox in the box. Do you know what I mean? That his movement's quite limited, but he stays in the box to get on the end of things. Do you think that combo might work?
Like he wants to come short, Nick. He always looks like he wants to drop into the 10 rather than running behind or get onto a cross. And of course, the way we're playing now is it's generally out wide. If you're a striker, you're playing off crosses, aren't you? Koroma's first goal came from a cross yesterday. So I just don't think he suits the style of playing anyway, really.
He might link up well with Wiles, you know, if given the opportunity. Again, I mean, you've just compared him to Ireland. I'm going to compare him to Berbatov. I think he's that style of player, in the sense of I don't think he wants to go and be in the thick of it, you know, in the box. I think he does, as Gaz says, I think he wants to drop kind of deeper into that kind of space. And that's why I said before, you know, if he potentially, if he can play with someone like Koroma, who can maybe stretch the defence a little bit and he's running deep, then allow Bojan to come short, that you might see some of the best of him, but I don't know what level that best of him is, to be honest with you.
He is hoping he does all right, lads. But
somebody needs to tell him to listen to this podcast, because he's been compared to Haaland and Berbatov.
Maybe he does, mate. Maybe the whole team listen to fucking hope not, because otherwise we'll be getting belted.
You're lucky for your crowd, won't they? Warm and get you face with the ball.
Let's hope no one from the club listens to this, eh? But I hope they do. It's all in good. We love them all, really. That's why, because we care, in it. We care. That's why we moan. That's why we bicker, because we just wanted to see them all do it. We don't want any of them to fail, do we? We want them all to do well, and
we all want the same thing.
We all want the same thing. We're just a set of miserable, moaning bastards. That's all it is. So we move on to Northampton, lads, at home, followed briskly by Blackpool. Teams that are 18th and 19th in the table. Sketchy form, to say the least. Only one win between them in the last 5 games. These are 2 games at home that really, you know, Town of old, obviously we lose. But this season, we've got to target 2 wins out of these 2, surely.
You would think so, wouldn't you? I think they're, I'm just looking now, they've got 5 points each. So I think Blackpool only got their first win on Saturday, so they've been struggling, haven't they? You would expect, certainly for the Northampton game, it's going to be a big crowd as well, so you would expect 20,000 plus. So the Northampton players are going to feel that pressure, you would hope. Blackpool obviously is now on it's going to be nice. I would say cold, rainy Tuesday night in Huddersfield, but apparently weather's going to be nice next week, guys. So it should be a pleasant autumn evening's football game. And then we've got Reading away. So, you really want to be shooting for 6 out of 9 out of those games. And I'd much rather be going to Reading already having bagged 6 points than going to Reading needing to get out. So, I mean, Northampton, I have to be honest, I don't really know much about Northampton. It's really terrible. I probably should have done some research, shouldn't I? But let's be honest, Northampton and Blackpool at home, you'd expect to win one or both, wouldn't you, at this level?
Fair play to Philip on here, but Bolton fan watching us saying going up.
You
I
wouldn't
don't know
think,
about that, mate, but I'll tell you what.
if you listen to us on week in, week out, you probably think we were getting relegated, Phil. We're the most miserable bastards ever.
We're not, mate. We're positive when we win. Of course we are, mate. Of course we are. But no, I appreciate it, mate. And you guys, I'm sure they'll turn it around. Bolton, look, the decent side. I think just going through a tough patch, and we've played them.
I think they're going to need to change it. I think Everett's going to be a goner, really. I think
so.
he was a dead man. Well, you listen to his post match. I think if they don't get rid of him, he's going to walk in. My guess is he said he was going to have a meeting with them this week. We're trying to do it.
Good, that is it. Yeah.
Nah, and it's not too late for him to turn it round. I mean, we had Bolton in the top 6. I think all of us did, didn't we? So I can see him changing the manager and easy getting on the run.
I think a lot of pundits.
Get Darren Moore in.
What's Fotheringham doing nowadays?
Who's fothering him? Who's fothering him? There's only Huddersfield Town fans ever heard of him.
I think most, a lot of the pundits had him as top 2, had him as second. So they've definitely got something about them. I think we've just played them at the right time, luckily for us. But 100%. Northampton at home. Look, I mean, every game's going to be tough. There's no easy games, and I thoroughly expect both games to be really difficult. I think teams are going to come to us, set up to defend, try and catch us on the break maybe, but they're going to be compact, and it's going to be up to us to try and break them down, which you look back at the games against Stevenage and Shrewsbury, they were easy games, tough, close. So, but realistically, if we have any intention of being a top 2 side, we have to win majority of our home games, and against teams that are 18th and 19th in the league, we have to beat them. And to be honest, Reading, they're only... Again, a lot of people tip them to be right up there. We're only mid-table. I think, 12th in the league. There's no reason why we can't get 9 out of 9, really.
Yeah, we're second at the table, after Wrexham, in terms of so far this season. So you won't think so listening to us sometimes, but
I'm going to try and give you some more confidence as well with that Northampton game. And Betty is at centre back for him.
Is he really? Oh yes.
We're having a sweepstake how many times he kicks the ball with his wrong foot.
I reckon he's going to have a blinder and he's going to score the winner.
We're going to scream. We're going to say that. We're going to say. Just caption this bit for when he scores a screamer. And just to add to that even more, they've got that Tom Eaves up front. Was he at Hull or?
He got sent up against us playing for Hull, didn't he? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Battering ram. Yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be a physical side. There'll be a tough side.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. Like fans will roll up expecting us to walk it 3-0, won't they? And it just don't work like that, especially for us. God only knows what's going to happen.
It'll be a bit of a grind, won't it? I think that game. I think more so than Blackpool. I think Northampton game will be a bit of a grind.
Yeah, I think so. But shall we give a prediction, lads? Why not? I'll go first. I think it's going to be 2-0. I think we'll win the game. I think the defence is decent. I think it won't be as easy as people think, but I think we can win this game. I think we'll go 2-0.
Yeah, it depends. It depends what Northampton do. So if they come and try and play with a low block, then it's only a matter of time, really, and we should win comfortably 2-3. I think if they come and play as Stevenage did against us, then that might be a Shrewsbury did against us, then that might be a different kettle of fish. That's what we've got to be wary of, haven't we? But if we score first, I can't see anything else other than a win, really. And then of course we've got Blackpool Tuesday. Jordan's not playing. Jordan Rhodes has been on the bench last few games for him. So if you think so, we've got that to look forward to. So even if your mate doesn't score a winner for Northampton, then it might be Jordan Rhodes on the Tuesday night. But yeah, I think a couple of 2-0 for Northampton, and I think Blackpool probably a bit tighter, maybe 2-1 for Blackpool.
I'm going 3-0 against Northampton.
Go on, Trish.
Yeah, I just think they've got Tyler Roberts as well, lad that were at Leeds.
Really?
So I think they. I don't think that they'll come and cause the kind of the same problems perhaps that some of the other teams have done against us with the kind of quick forwards. But I do wonder whether they will try and be a bit more like Rotherham. That said, I'm not sure that they have the same. Well, the capability of the team, I don't think is good, and they probably don't have the same pedigree of manager. I think Steve Evans is a bit of a wily fox, and you know, and I think they'll probably come and try and just catch us on the break, sort of thing, or set pieces. So yeah, I fancy a 3-0 there. I do think Blackpool will be a tougher game in terms of football. But yeah, again, I think if we've got aspirations of going up, we've got to be looking to win that as well. So, and hopefully in the kind of next week or so, we'll start to see some of the some of the lads return from injuries as well. You know, it'd be good to see Herbie Kane and Kasumu, and I don't know how long Healy's out for, but hopefully Brodie Spencer as well, back from injury.
Be nice, wouldn't it? I think we've got a decent looking squad, strong squad with strong options. If when they're all fit, when they're all back, that's a problem, isn't it? But I don't think it's going to be an attractive game of football on Saturday, is it? I think if we're putting it in into relative terms, I think in a club the game yesterday would be like meeting Megan Fox, and I think the game on Saturday will be like meeting Steve Cooper, won't it? I think it's going to be one of them games that you've got to grind out, and it's going to be tough. Like I said, there's no easy games in this league. They're all tough, and usually
Are you saying you've got to grind out on Steve Cooper?
Oh no, let's not even go there, mate. Let's calm yourself. Cool yourself down, Gaz. But it's these teams towards the lower end of the table that they're the ones that you slip up. They're the banana skins. It's always the case, and I think Michael Duff referenced that these are the games that are tough, that you're expected to win. I mean, how Huddersfield Town fans can expect us to win any game after only winning 8 all last season? I will never know. We've already 50% of our winning total over all the last season. You know, so
that's where the squad comes in, though, Nick. Isn't it? That's where against these teams where it is attrition and you're struggling to find a way. That's where having a squad means you can change your game and have a match winner on the bench who comes off. That's why top teams in any league end up at the top. And as you just said, with that squad, we get half of that lot fit, then we should have more than enough, if it ain't in the starting 11, on the bench to be able to change these games and win them.
I think Duff said best start in 48 years. Says a lot, doesn't it?
And we're still moaning. Happy days. Right. And on that note, on that bombshell, guys, thank you so much for listening tonight. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for all your comments as well. We appreciate that. Like I say, if anyone wants to come on and chat it over with us rabble, drop us a message on X, and we'll make it happen. But yeah, here's hoping for another 3 points against Northampton, and let's get up into that top 2, and hopefully stay there. See you later, everyone. See you next time, and up the town.